Hey YouTube, it's Leigh from Creative Leigh on the 24th of November 2024 with FLOSSTUBE number 245, 46. I can't remember, it'll be in the title. I didn't write any notes today because it's just going on midday and I haven't had time and I couldn't be bothered. So welcome back to my weekly YouTube channel about counted cross stitch. I am still coughing a little bit, but mostly over my stupid virus and just some residual breathing issues, but we'll get there. Just went around to friends for breakfast. My lovely friend Eve was up for visiting people from Dunedin, and so just squeezed in a quick little visit this morning around at mutual friend's house. And yeah, that is my morning really. Get up, get dressed, go around to friends for breakfast and had a lovely little catch up. So back home now, time to do my video. I don't have too much of a life update, I don't think. I worked all week. I don't remember it. Only non-work event I had was to get I had lunch with friends one day in work and had my hair done on Friday night. So yay for being grey free for another couple of weeks. I do appreciate being grey free, I must admit. Just another pretty busy week at work. There's a lot going on. 20 more work days left for me at my current employment. And we're entering the silly season now. So I've got both a team Christmas / sort of belated farewell for my old boss lunch on Thursday. I think I'm having lunch with a friend, an ex-colleague in Upper Hutt on Wednesday, and I'm catching up with 2 different people for a drink after work on both Tuesday and Thursday. So yeah, it's this sort of season of just overindulging generally. Even though I won't drink a lot, I still don't typically have 3 drinks in the week, and I will be having at least 3 drinks this week. So yeah, silly season, lots of work to do. Sorry, a neighbour just fired up his lawnmower, but I've got my door open because it's a lovely, warm, slightly breezy spring day, and I probably will get my lawnmower out this afternoon. But most people don't do YouTube videos, do they? So anyway, can't win. There's always something going on here. That's it pretty much. Yeah, very normal sort of just focusing on work sort of week. I should talk to you a little bit about stitching. I don't have any purchases, anything to show you. I did put a little order through yesterday through Ribbon Rose for a couple of just some stash top-ups. Just they had a sale on, so DMC was a good price and a few other bits and pieces that I need for a couple of projects down the line. I did spend a couple of hours yesterday going through my master set of DMC and identifying where I needed new replacement skeins or top-up skeins, and then going through my spreadsheet that I have, which tells me what overstock I have. Pulled probably 20% of the flosses I had in a form or two, had a skein or two in my overstock, so it was quite nice to reduce that down. And I made a wee list of flosses I need to stock up. So I just went through and kind of bought a quarter of them maybe, because I didn't quite want to spend hundreds of dollars on floss, but just went through to the end of the 400s of the ones I needed and ordered those. So they aren't that exciting, but it is nice to get them topped up. And there's one that I pulled out of my stash to top up, and the colour was a little bit different, so I need to have a look and see whether I've got an old skein or whether I had an old skein. So either I didn't take much notice until I went to wind it, and it's a little bit greener than the grey that it's replacing. So either the floss from my overstock is older than what I had on my floss bobbin, or the other way around. So I need to have a look at the colour. I've got an older colour card, so I need to have a look at what the colour looks like currently in a shop to see whether I just actually need to replace it, not from stashed, because the colour's a little bit different. So it happens over time. I still don't care as long as I'm aware of it, and I only have, if I use an old scan on a project, as long as I'm confident I've got enough to use. On a full coverage where it's all confetti, it doesn't really matter. But if you're filling in a house or a roof or something, or an elephant or some solid object and needed to change halfway through, it would be quite obvious, right? Anyway, blah blah blah. So that's all I did. Something I did yesterday, and yeah, again, not that exciting. A packet of Mill Hill, some weeks, classic colour works, gentle art, just a handful of things to start to kit up a blackbird project I want to start next year sometime. That's it. Yeah, no happy mail or anything else. I only have a couple of projects to show you today, and then I've got a couple of things that I'll show you, just sort of like a mini whip parade, just more around things that I could work on for the rest of the year. So what, the next let's say 5 weeks, or until Christmas, and I'm just going to show a couple of things that I'm thinking about. I'm not sure which one I'll work on yet, but I just thought I'd show you the things that are kind of next up for aiming towards the finish, or a particular goal for this year, or they'll be slated for a finish next year. So just to pad out the video a little bit. So what did I stitch on this week? I first of all, I talked about doing a bit of progress on Brick House Sampler. I had, this is the chart, which was a parcel stash from my friend Sam. She stitched hers 2/2 on 28, I think, and this is the model was stitched 1/1 on 28, so the model was tiny, but and I'm stitching mine on 40 count, not even the same. But anyway, I mentioned that when I'd stitched this, because I've used my own flosses, the little dogs were too light on my fabric, so I had already stitched these 2 dogs. So I mentioned last week that I had pulled the dogs out and restitched them. So I guess when you saw this last, I had this bottom border done, and I had kind of to there done, but not the alphabet. So I had this stuff done, and I restitched the dogs, but I didn't bother showing you. So I had all of this side and that little tree, and then all the alphabet to do. So quite a bit, and the satin stitch grass line along under the house. So I had picked up thinking I'll make a little bit of progress on it. This is Brick House Sampler by Brenda Gervais, that I'm stitching mine on 40 count Heartland linen from PTP. That was, I'm pretty sure, was a rack from Judith, because I had mentioned I'd never stitched on PTP, I think, and she had some in her stash. And then I used my own overdyed cotton conversion, so my colourway is quite different. No, not quite, somewhat different from the called for. You will see, this was my birthday start this year. I do like to finish my birthday start in the year that I started it, which is why I kind of pulled it out and went, shit, I better do some work on it. So I started it on the 18th of January, and you will see that I have a finish date. Yes, I started stitching on it, and I went ham on it until I finished it on the 23rd of November, so yesterday morning. I think I just had to finish the satin stitch yesterday. So, and here it is. It is so fun. There's a bunch of errors in the stitching, part of them driven by the chart. It's a symmetrical kind of design around the house, but the paddocks that those sheep are in are not symmetrical in the chart. One of those paddocks, the green boxes, is 19 squares high and the other one's 18 squares high. Couldn't work out why when I was stitching this branch, why it wasn't lined up with this thing in the same place, and it's because the paddocks are not the same height. So that frustrated me, but by the time I got there, it's fine. The bird's wing was supposed to be the same blue as that, and I pulled the wrong blue for one of them, so I did it with the other one. There's some missing stitches in this branch, so I did it on the other side as well. I miscounted the colorway for the berries and the green, sorry, the berries and the branches in this thing here. The symbols are so similar in color because it's a color chart that I ended up stitching some of that wrong. Who really cares? I love that bottom border. That's the highlight of this for me. And the big red house, I stitched with a variegated, what the hell is it? Cottage garden threads, and I tweeded it. For me, what I call tweeding is I don't stitch, even when it's quite variegated, I don't stitch them necessarily one X at a time. I just stitch little rows, and I like the fact that sometimes like the brighter red might be stitched over the darker red, and you get a little bit more of a softer, more tweeded effect rather than it being really hard lines. So it's still lines, but it's softer lines. I like that effect. It's not how a lot of people stitch with variegated threads, but I found if you don't want it really stripy, really strong stripes, just stitch the whole row, stitch like the whole leg with one and back. I wouldn't do that if it was a different color. So if it was going from, you know, from a red to a green, I wouldn't do that necessarily unless I really wanted that effect for some reason. But when it's like a dark red to a light brighter red, I'm fine with that kind of tweedy effect. So yeah, there she is. I'm really happy I got it finished. My birthday start, and pausing in case YouTube decides to give me a decent thumbnail. It usually doesn't, but we'll try. So yeah, another finish for 2024. So I had mentioned I wanted to finish that this year. I thought it would go into December, but I managed to get it finished this week. And then yesterday I picked up my other November goal, my final November goal, which is to work on my other leap year sale project, Women in Profile from Cross Stitch Collectibles. I'm working in this area, the darker, and this was on 20 count Aida in the colour Nougat from Zweigart, using the call for. This is my project for, I don't know what I was going to say, it doesn't matter. So here's my little tracking sheet. I needed to stitch 2,552 stitches, just keep on target. I stitched slightly more than that because I had a length of thread. I just wanted to finish that off because I had space to finish the stitching. So I actually stitched 2,566 stitches yesterday. So with a total of, so I stitched quite late last night, probably finished about 11 because I just wanted to get this done yesterday. So yeah, I'm on 22,982 stitches, so just slightly ahead of target. So in here, so we've got November ticked off, so I'm very excited about that. Aiming for 25%, obviously, by the 28th of February. So here we go, more of the same. I did have to get one more colour from Stash. I don't have the whole thing kitted up. No need to put lots of bright colours in when you're working in this dark area. So just much of that is new, as I had, you know, I'm kind of doing cross country, not extreme though. I just pick a colour, pick something that's missing in one of the little holes, and then stitch as much as I can without counting too far. But still a lot of like 939 and a dark green and quite a bit of this blue. So quite a few blues came in. This got quite filled in, a bit filled in here. This has been more filled in, and here kind of filled in. So that's where we're at.
So all of my, even though I don't usually set goals, I had quite a few goals this November. I finished all of them. Getting Brick House Sampler finished was a bit of a unexpected goal achieved. I think once I just got that house in, I'm like, just keep going. So yeah, in December, obviously, I just want to get those 2 leap year sale projects stitched in December. I'm not planning to take anything with me to Australia. It's going to be too hot. I'm going to be just relaxing and reading. But so I've got, I guess, 4.5 weeks of before I head away. Well, nearly 5 weeks, but 31 days until, or 30 days till I head away to Australia. So I do need to plan for a couple of things. Oh, I do want to get at least one more finish, I think. So I thought I pulled out a few things that could be on the either get a finish or get some progress before the end of the year. So I'm just going to grab a pile of stuff and show you what they are and talk about, and maybe I'll decide. I haven't really decided yet, so one moment. Okay, first up is something that actually I'm not going to be working on, but I have neglected this whip, and I thought, and I've got a plan for it, so I thought I'd just talk about it now because it was in front of my mind. You may recall one of my Dash Sampler starts last year on the 26th of August was Kesslin's Cross Stitch Fun, which I had this shirt for quite a while, and I had intended to stitch a version not exactly the same but reminiscent of this. So rather than the monochromatic version, then stitch it with picking out different colors and stuff. And I pulled my own palette, and I love this palette, but I'm not sure I'm going to continue with it. So I had, where's my silk? So the majority of all of the border and a lot of the majority of it was going to be stitched with the Silks for You PR062 on 40 count Copper Beach from Country Stitch. But I had thought about the colors, so I pulled out a palette and it looked like this. So I had a couple of, me and my orange and my yellow, so a couple of different shades of yellow, my favorite red, which is, no, that's not my favorite red, rusty red 3830 608, so those lovely warm colors. And I totally love this palette, and I'll use it with something else. A teal just to add a bit of interest in there with the darker color, a charcoal, and then I had this highly variegated DMC 4025. So I had gone through the pattern and kind of marked out what might be with which color, but first of all, I don't love the highly variegated. So in my head, I haven't worked on this for a while, because in my head I'd stitched a lot that I would want to undo, because I think I just want to stitch it monochromatic now. And in my head, I had stitched a whole bunch of color that I was going to have to pull out. What I must have been remembering is that I went through the chart and I kind of, with colored pencils, and just scribbled in roughly which would be which color. And when I stopped it, I didn't like how the variegated went. It's just too variegated. So I only actually have to pull out that one random motif. I don't like how the variegation sits with that kind of symmetrical motif. It makes it look off kilter, and I just don't love it. So either I was thinking, do I either swap the variegated for just a more solid, different shade of blue, or maybe even just use the teal, or that turquoisey color. But you know what? I think I'm just going to stitch it all in the silk. So now that I realise I only have to frog that one motif, and then I know now that I'm just going to stitch the whole thing monochromatic, so it's going to look more like that. I think I'm much happier. So I'm not going to worry about trying to achieve any kind of goal this year, but other than I might just frog that variegated one and put the pretty colors. I might keep them on this card and just keep them separate for some other project because I do like the colours together. I've just changed my mind. So yeah, I've got plenty of silk and to search it just with that. So that's more like a plan for this. It's just to pull out that colour and stuff. But yeah, I had sort of stopped working on it because I wasn't convinced. It's sort of the main reason I stopped working on something is usually not anything to do with the chart. It's either I don't like the fabric or I don't like the floss or both. So I'd rather just sit on it for a while, which I've done, and then work it out over the next little while. And that hopefully goes into the mix next year to get a little bit more love on it because it's actually quite a big piece and I haven't given it any, just neglected it all year pretty much. I talked last week about wanting to get the border finished. Oh, this is in great condition, isn't it? Remember Me by Teresa Kogut. So stitching this mostly with called for DMC. I've added in a couple of extra colours. This was a stash sample to start my bonus start on the 24th of September last year. And I'm stitching this on 36 count weathered linen from number 12 Stitch Co. Love this linen. And this is where I'm at with it. So majority of the border is done. I just have to get that top bit in. It's just not actually that much stitching for a Leigh stitch. Finish up that border at the top. And then, so yeah, if I can finish this border and complete this inner border, like I haven't quite got all the stitching in. It's like when my thread runs out, I've got to remember that I stitched that with the wrong colour too, so that inner border is the wrong colour, but I'm not changing it. So really happy with that. I love it on this linen. And what did I change? I filled in the chart, these flowers are not filled in. That creamy colour is just another cream I picked from my stash, and I changed, I pulled the next shade up of the reddy pinky colours so that these little buds and these flowers here are the next shade darker. I just felt it was a little bit pale for me. I wanted to add a little bit of extra depth of colour. Probably because my fabric, my linen has quite a tinge to it, like the model stitched on like a plain coloured linen and mine has a bit more almost mauvey colour to it. So I wanted to make sure that there was enough contrast there. Excuse me. So goal, I'd love to finish the border and the inner border and that outer border this year. That would be great. Oft neglected, I don't think I'm going to get to this. Neglected since retreat. When I started, this was my retreat start. Was Vibrant Flowers, Kathy Barrick. This is all kitted up, called for, so all of the called for needlepoint silks, and I'm using 40 count Thornfield, which is by Needle and Flax, which is the called for fabric. My lovely friend Judith gave it to me when I had mentioned I tried to dye some fabric for it, but she mentioned she had some and she gave it to me, which was really kind. So this is very rare for me to use. Yeah, it's quite rare for me to use all the called for, especially silks and stuff. But so I did this at retreat in August, and I haven't even touched it since. I thought about picking it up, but there's so much to do. I'm unlikely to get it finished this year. I could probably finish it this year, but I'm probably not going to. So I just am going to put that aside and hopefully be a focus for next year. You know, love doing a house, and these are the fun bits, so I'm not quite ready to get to the fun bit yet. So I thought about, I guess it might get a little bit of work if I achieve, you know, a finish or what have you. All my retreat pieces are coming out to haunt me, because that Vibrant Flowers was started at retreat in August, the Lower Hutt retreat. This project I started in March at the Christchurch Stitchy retreat, which was Ladida's Quaker Alphabet, This is all kitted up on my own stuff using 35 count vintage marble linen from Zweigart and Weeks Dye Works in the colours navy and fathom. So I had this kitted up for a couple of years. I started it at the Christchurch retreat, have picked it up since. This is where I'm at too. In my head I'd finished the alphabet, I haven't. So this potentially could be finished this year, so I'm not sure. If I focus on it, it would be. I'm not sure if I'm going to focus on it. So that one's a contender for a focused finish. And if I don't get it finished, if I don't choose it this year, it will definitely be a focus for next year. Another piece I started at retreat. This one I started at the Dunedin retreat in 2023. Yeah, it's in May. Die Farben des Herbstes, I don't know how to speak German. Colours of Autumn by Historische Stickmuster. Dorothy Kanzi is the designer. This on 35 count white Zweigart using the almost called for a very Swiss Wadage. Changed a couple of colours so it looks more like the model or the mock-up, I should say. And I'm just over halfway on this. So got the bottom half done. I had put it on pause because I needed to buy another white Aversoir. The top half has a lot of white, so all of that white filigree is stitched. So I kind of need to stitch a lot of that white and then fill in the negative. And I'd had to buy another skein, which I had bought. So yeah, I've just started a little bit of the white in here. Now I need to just focus on that. So I feel like there's quite a lot of stitching in this. I think if I focused on it, just this, it might get finished. I don't think it's going to. The other thing too is I'm stitching with white silk on white, so not as much fun as stitching colour. And also it's getting warmer, so I'd have to like wash my hands a lot more often. So I don't know, I might end up just calling this and leaving it till next year and just focus on it next year. It's just another contender, and if I finish, yeah, I don't know, so it's just, yeah. And I pulled one more project that I think would be an ambitious finish, but maybe, and reminded by my friend Anne, she's stitching a different design but a similar design by Vivsters, and it's the Antique Alphabet Band Sampler, stitched up by Vivian Powers from Vivsters. Mine's the middle-sized one, so there's two different versions. This is the original version doesn't have a couple of these bands, it's missing them. Then she recharted it with some extra bands. That's the version I bought. She then added another version, this alphabet here. She has this in full. I think it takes up 3 lines. So essentially, and I think both of these alphabets are in full in the long version, which is the version my friend Anne has got. But I was happy. Well, I already kitted up, and the fabric would be too short, so I was happy. I'm happy with the partial alphabet. So this one here is quite a bit of stitching to do. Again, if I focus on it, I could finish it. So it's Antique Alphabet Band Sampler. I've already told you that. It's on 35 count shortbread linen from Country Stitch using my own silk conversion. I think I do have a cotton for the white. There's not much white in it. There's some white in the flowers. There's a white band down the bottom here stitched. Yeah, very little white, but the white, and there's some white in the centers up here. So I've got a cotton, overdyed cotton white. So yeah, my own silk conversion is similar to the mock-up. And yes, I'm only halfway on this, but kind of the hard part's done. The hard part is the kind of the big center, that big row that I've done, that massive one. Oh, I've already got the date in it. Okay, decision made
I was cocky and I put 2024 in. I need to finish this year. I think I've just picked my project. I'm going to work on this to finish it. So I'm about halfway, but again, the alphabet row, I find alphabets really quick to stitch. Everything I'm stitching on, like, there's bloody alphabets for Africa. So I just finished the alphabet on the brick house sampler. So yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 alphabets. There's the lowercase, uppercase up here. Each of these shouldn't be too long. This is going to be a little bit more fiddly. And by fiddly, like, the thing is, this is like one colour, right? So you just thread your needle and you stitch, thread your needle, stitch. Probably only have to thread your needle, like, it's going to be one length of thread, like 1 6-stranded length of thread. Again, that alphabet, super quick. You can probably get like 2 or 3 letters per length of thread. Little fiddly thing, very repetitive. They're quick because you can remember the pattern. You don't have to think about it. This one you have to look at the chart a lot more. So that's probably going to be the fiddliest. There's still quite a lot. There's a lot of stitching in there. Okay, I'm going to give it a crack. If I have to pull out that 4 and change it to a 5, I will. I don't want to do that though. So there you go. I have found my goal, which is to stitch the antique alphabet band sampler. Give it a crack. Okay, then all of those other things I just showed you are not going to be done this year. Probably, but there'll be options for carrying on in the new year. I better leave this one out then and get working on it. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to try and get that done. Thanks for coming along and listening to me rabbit on. I appreciate it. I am going to do some housework, and I need to do a little bit of work this afternoon, maybe mow my lawns, and get started on that band sampler tonight. I usually don't stitch on Sunday afternoons. Like, I usually do my video, then do all the other stuff, and then eventually I kind of sit down after dinner or around dinner time, and that's when I do some stitching on Sunday evening. So usually, like, Sunday's actually usually my day of rest from stitching, unless it's pissing down with rain. I don't feel like doing anything, in which case I might do that. So cheers. Yeah, I hope everything's going well where you are, and that as we enter into the silly season, it's not too silly for you all. Yeah, just that time of year, right? We try and achieve miracles at work. And I don't know, I can't wait to have a holiday, like 4 weeks, and I get a holiday. Down tools at 3:45 on Friday the 20th of December, when I have a hair appointment at 4 o'clock, and in theory, my account will be deactivated at work by 5, so I will not have a work computer for 3 weeks. I will not be doing any work. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. It's been so long. And so I didn't have to worry about work for a few weeks. Take care, find joy in your stitching, and as always, don't let your needles rust. Ciao.